if you're asking whether you should buy a 2-wheel cargo bike or a 3-wheel cargo bike, it's really going to come down in some ways to two things. One, how far are you usually going in an average trip? And we'll talk about that in 1 second. And then two, what your city's infrastructure is like. So if you've been to Copenhagen, you've probably seen this sparkling gem of a city, bike lanes everywhere, bicycle highways, bicycle on-ramps, bicycle off-ramps. I mean, the place is perfect. But it wasn't always like that. So back then in Copenhagen, you had a growing grassroots movement of cyclists that wanted to link home to work and across various errands using a bicycle. It was a real citizens movement that succeeded and basically turned Copenhagen into the amazing cycling city that is today. But back then there was no bike lanes, and there was lots of people that wanted to carry kids with cargo. And that meant that they needed a bike that was extremely safe. So immediately that meant a 3-wheel bike. And why? Well, a 3-wheel bike's simply more stable than 2 wheels. You don't have to balance it. You can sit at a stoplight with your hands still on the handlebars and your feet still on the pedals without having to put your feet down. It just feels really, really safe. So maneuverability is everything when it comes to a cargo bike. It's really easy to find cargo bike brands nowadays that offer a cargo tricycle, so you get the stability then. But it's really hard to find a cargo bike that offers you really good reactivity, or what we're calling maneuverability. And why is that important? Well, if you're riding in a city, you aren't just riding in a straight line, you're fighting traffic left, right, and center. Pedestrians are coming out in front of you, maybe dogs. You want a bike that's got a real high level of reactivity, because the city is one highly contingent place full of thises and that's that are coming at you left, right, and center. So most cargo bikes in the market, or cargo trikes rather, use what we call pivot steering. So that's where the entire box steers. And it's just not a great idea. It's really good if you live in, say, a place like Christiania, which in Denmark is a car-free island. You never have to really compete with cars. There's no highly contingent situations. It works. But as the cargo bike sort of moved beyond Christiania into the rest of Copenhagen, it became really important that the bike would maneuver well. So when you have pivot steering, which once again is where the box steers, you basically put lots of heavy stuff into the box. Sometimes the box itself is heavy, and that means that the heavier the box gets, the more handling you lose. It's a huge problem. So as the bike moved from Christiania, there was a trike company called Christiania, into the rest of Denmark. The whole question around handling became really, really important. It was answered by a company named Nihola. And Niholas are awesome bikes. In fact, part of my background is importing them into Canada for many, many years. And we'd still be carrying them today if they just offered a motor that was globally serviceable. They instead tend to use motors that are sort of off-brand. If problems occur, the access to repairs and parts, or service and parts rather, is really, really tricky. And we just don't like that. We're gonna use motors that are highly reliable. But what Nihola introduced to the marketplace is what we would call Ackerman steering. And Ackerman steering is not revolutionary at all because it's used on cars. It simply just means that the wheels turn, like you're about to see right now. Perfect timing. The wheels turn in the front instead of the whole box steering in the front. That means that you get high reaction, but still on a stable 3-wheel platform. And that's really what makes the Black Iron Horse a successor to the Nihola. Because not only does it employ Ackerman steering, it's using a Shimano motor, which once again is a globally serviceable motor and offers just way higher quality overall than anything that's sort of off-brand on the marketplace. So Black Iron Horse just didn't enter the marketplace with, the same steering as Nihola and just a better motor. There's more going on as well. If you're going to launch a product that's competing with, a very established brand, you just sort of start to think comprehensively and globally about what you can do better. So the Ackerman steering is very much the same as the Nihola. The motor is much, much better, but on the steering now you actually have suspension, and that's really important because currently I'm riding down a very bumpy alleyway and the suspension's feeling pretty good. The second thing that a Black Iron Horse improved compared to the Nihola is the box itself. On a Nihola bike, you have a series of panels which are riveted together, and those rivets on bumpy terrain go loose, and you can hear a Nihola coming from like a kilometer away. They are loud, loud bikes. Here on a Black Iron Horse, you have their own box design. It's actually made out of recycled plastic, which is so cool, and it's highly, highly impact resistant, which is really what the Nihola box and the Black Iron Horse box will share in common. So if the bike gets impacted, the kids are safe. But in this case, the box is a single unit. It's bumpy. It's a single unified piece of recycled plastic, highly impact resistant, and not going to make a lot of noise. Finally, the wheels on the Black Iron Horse are smaller than the Nihola's, and that's just because you get way more acceleration. In the city, you don't need a large wheel. A large wheel is made to basically get to top speed, so you accelerate to top speed, then you have to be able to maintain top speed in order to be fast. But in the city, you never really have that situation. It's stop and go, red light, red light, red light, left, right, left, right. And so the smaller the wheel, the more acceleration you get, the more maneuverability you get. And that's really Black Iron Horse really thinking through the whole, we're in the city, you know, what's the use case, what's the best answer? Beyond that, we really like the canopy on the Black Iron Horse. It's like this amazing canopy. It goes full zip all the way up, so you get like open air on the kids. You can actually like unzip this right here, have a little conversation with the kids, tell them to stop horsing around. And it comes fully equipped with the light set. Just back here, you got a light built into the actual frame, and up front you got two lights, so just like a car, just shining forward, making sure people can see you and that you can also see. So if your life is lived in the so-called last mile, which we're going to define as distances that are too close to drive and too far to walk, then a three-wheel bike makes perfect sense. So that's who's buying one of these bikes. They're saying, look, the logic of my life and the actual sort of mathematics of my life is that the majority of my trips, say 90% of my trips, are just lived within this distance that are too close to drive and too far to walk. There's a reason all these other cargo bike brands are selling their cargo bikes as if they're Land Rovers, offering things like full suspension and whatnot. And that's because, yeah, cargo bikes can also sort of go beyond your daily trips, which again are, you know, too close to drive, too far to walk. And that's awesome. But that's not where a cargo bike really competes with a car. Once you start going distances over, you know, say 10 kilometers or so, a car starts to get a little bit faster. So the reason why you're doing these trips that are longer is because they're just fun. And fun is fun, so we totally approve of that. You can indeed take a cargo bike out, you know, for a day on the Toronto Islands. You could go, say, take a cargo bike out to the Rouge Valley for an overnight camping trip. I mean, the possibilities are really endless, and you can do it with the kids and create all sorts of great memories. So that's where a trike begins to lose maybe some of its luster. It's just on three wheels, so that means you've got 30% more drag, and you're not going to get the same life out of the battery. So would I say that if you got a trike, you could go from, you know, downtown Toronto to the Toronto Islands and have a great day? Absolutely. Could you go to the Leslie Street Spit? For sure. But will it have that sort of like normal bike feel that maybe you want as a cyclist? No. And so the reason why a lot of people buy two wheels is because A, they're just a little less nervous about riding a cargo bike in a city. They know that they have good enough handling, and that handling already offers a high level of safety and security for their kids. And then because the bike's on two wheels, they're able to also then just have a lot more fun when, you know, the daily errands are over and the weekend's here, and now you can start doing all this sort of Toronto Island stuff and what have you. What we're looking at here and what this bike has in common with cargo bikes, that being bikes on two wheels, is that the kids are in the front. And this is so important. These days, the bike you're seeing a lot at bike stores are called longtails. And longtails put kids on the back, and as much research shows, when you put kids on the back, you're putting them into the area of the bike where impacts with cars happen the most. So most of the impacts that involve an automobile and a bike are happening from the rear. It is the worst place to put your kids. And it doesn't matter how many rails you put around those kids, it just doesn't offer the same impact resistance. So when you put your kids at the front, you're making the far better choice. And what this bike will have in common with other European cargo bikes is that the box is not just safer itself by virtue of being in the front, it's also highly impact resistant and has been tested for that purpose.